on the road for it. We're it was a tough week last week and playing the 3 games in the 7 days. So um, learned a lot, I think, about our group and hopefully we're able to apply those lessons moving forward. Defensively, I thought we were able to get our defense back in the Thursday and Sunday game after not having it in the Monday game, which was good for us. Our transition game continues to, um, improve as the season's going along, which I think is good for our team. And continue to have a number of players uh, contributing in different ways, and that their consistency has been good for us. When I think of like Jaden, her consistency defensively, I think has really anchored us on that end, and her versatility, certainly her rebounding, leading us in rebounding. T running the team, taking care of the ball, high assists, low turnovers. Um, and being able to score, on nights that we need her to do that. There's a lot to like about our group right now, and hopefully we can keep stacking wins.
Thanks, Coach. Royal, we'll start with you.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm making it. I'm making it.
Good.
Coach, I wanted to ask you. I just wanted to just get your assessment on Toby Fournier over like the last 2 games. I believe she's averaging like 22 points, shooting above like 60% from the field, something like that. What has just been like the biggest catapult for her to kind of like remain consistent, be that defensive anchor on the interior? But like, what have you seen from her over this last stretch of 2 games since the NC State game, where she's kind of like asserting her dominance, showing more of a sense of her urgency, and just being more consistent for the long haul for this Duke program?
Well, Toby's just a very talented finisher, and when she um, gets, is able to get the ball, and she's able to score. And it doesn't have to be in certain spots. She can really score from anywhere. She can make threes. She can make the mid range, the elbow jumper, and she also can score on the block with either hand. So I think just offensively, she has some diverse ways she can score, even though the majority of the time she scores is in the paint. She's also, I don't know if she's the best at this on our team. I'd have to look at the numbers, but she draws quite a bit of fouls. And so, I don't know if she's been to the free throw line more than any other player, but that's actually not the stat that you're looking at, because you can get fouled and not go to the free throw line. She gets fouled, and gets to the line and gets the other team's foul count up high too, which there's value in that as well. And then defensively, we've just seen her grow in her understanding of what she needs to be doing in different situations, and that has allowed her to um, that's allowed her to have more of an impact on the defensive end because she knows where she's supposed to be and she knows what she's supposed to be doing. And then her length is an advantage. She leads us in blocks, and is someone that can rebound out of her area as well. If I had to nitpick, I would probably say I think she can rebound more than she does, and I think she rebounds well, but I think she could get double digit rebounds um, if she really put her mind to it.
And Coach, I wanted to follow up that. I had a question about the conference as a whole. I know this year, I believe, is the first year where they're going into they're limiting the bottom 3 teams of the league not being able to go to the ACC tournament. Do you think that it justice for the league to kind of keep those teams out, where a team can get hot in the tournament and potentially steal a bid from a at-large team, or do you think it's all about what have you done throughout the duration of a season to kind of get you to the ACC tournament, which will be, I think, in Greensboro this year as well?
I don't have an opinion either way. I think you've had 3, 4 months to state your case, and if you don't get the job done out of 18 teams and you don't get in the top 15, then I think that's just tough luck for that. I mean, I don't know that I think anyone at 16, 17, or 18 would win the tournament. They'd have to play like 6 games in 6 days or something crazy like that, right? 5 games in 5, 6. I don't know. It would be a lot.
Yes, man. Thank you. Good luck this week, Coach.
Thank you.
Jim, over to you.
Yeah, Kara, I want to ask you about Ashlin Jackson. I think you said recently that she's the leader of the team. If you will, elaborate on that a little bit and just talk in general about how well she's playing right now. Well, what do you think is clicking for her to be playing at such a high level with such consistency?
Ashlyn has a great understanding of how to play. She has a great knowledge of our schemes, of where she's supposed to be, of where everyone else is supposed to be. And then she's a great communicator, which allows her to help people as the game's going on offense and defense, help get them where they need to be. And so I think that is something she's constantly doing. I mean, she does that in practice. She does that in the game. She gets people where they're supposed to be if they're not in the right place. She communicates. She's always communicating and talking. She's talking in huddles on the court. She's talking huddles in the during the timeouts and things. And then you can have conversation with her during the game. You know, you can give an instruction during the game, and she can instantly make a change. She doesn't need a timeout. You can yell at her as she's running up the court or running back down the court and say something, and she can implement that right away. So she's a really smart player and a great teammate as well. All the players love Ashlyn. You know, she's a great teammate. She's got a great personality. She brings people together, but she's always been like that. I mean, that's why we recruited her. I mean, every time I'd go watch her play when she was in high school or her club team, she was like the Pied Piper. You know, she was the one that everybody was gathering around and everyone was smiling and laughing. And she just has always been like that as a young kid coming up through the game. And that's a big reason why, you know, I wanted her here. She was our first, you know, like McDonald's big time recruit that said yes to Duke before anybody said yes to Duke. She was the first, you know, top player in high school that said yes, and we didn't have any other top players here yet. You know, she was the first one that believed in what we were building. And so in many ways, she's been an anchor for this program, to be an early adopter of what we were trying to build and believe in it before she could see it. And then, you know, her growth as a freshman, obviously she was on a very veteran-laden team, and she played, but she didn't get to play a ton. And then as a sophomore, to step into a leadership role as a sophomore with a young team, and then now as a junior, you know, she's playing at a high level. And you know, I've said this before, like she's one of the top two-way players in our league. And I know there's a lot of great players in our league, but she's in the same conversation as a lot of the top wings in this league, when you look at her ability on both ends of the floor.
Thanks.
Jaden, over to you.
Yeah, Kara, obviously this week is huge for y'all as you continue to build your resume. You talked last week about, you know, Toby and some of your younger players, you know, just, you know, not necessarily having, you know, as much experience in some of these big games as your veterans. You know, what do you think they took from that, and how have they responded just in practice over the last, you know, 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just learn about, you know, where you can grow from your mistakes and how you can get better. And then we just worked on some fundamental things to improve. And yeah, Toby's one that This is her first run through everybody, first time playing against all these players. Obviously, our sophomores were still young, but they had a taste of it last year, but they're in different roles this year. And, so you just keep trying to get them to improve little bit by little bit, like micro growth every day. And there's a competitiveness there. There's a desire there to want to improve. And I think we're seeing it. I mean, the young players at this time of year tend to just be like improving in leaps and bounds. You can see like, whoa, okay, yeah, she's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing this, she's doing that, which is good. And then ultimately the tests are the games, and they have to be able to do it against a top flight competition in pressured environments. Pressure being like loud environment, pressure being maybe there's game pressure, like score. I mean, there's different ways that pressure can enter into the equation, and just how do they manage that? How do they handle that? How do they figure that out for themselves, and how they figure out who they are, in those moments. And yeah, so I think it's gone well. I think they're very receptive. They're very coachable. We can have honest conversations with them, and they're they understand it, and then they're ready to try and improve on it.
To follow up, y'all have played at NC State and at Carolina at this point. And I know you don't want to I know coaches really don't like to look ahead, but obviously you do have Notre Dame coming up. How important do you think it was to have those two in-state rivalry games, before you head up to South Bend and face one of the hottest teams in the country right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we structured our schedule the way we did. I mean, you never know when they switch the format, who you're going to get on the road and who you're going to get at home. And, you just got to go with the flow. Like, don't forget, we were at Georgia Tech. We're going to be at Notre Dame. We're going to be at Florida State. And if you look at the standings, who are the top teams in the league? That's like 5 of the top 7 teams or 5 of the top 6. I don't know what the standings are, but we're on the road for all of them. We're home for none of them except Carolina, who's our, team we play twice. So, yeah, am I going to complain about that? It's a schedule. It's just the way it goes. We don't have the games against the top teams in the league standings at home. So you can either complain about it or you can figure out how to win on the road. And that's why we play more road games, I think, than anybody in the ACC in a non-conference. You can fact check me on that. I might be wrong, but I think we played more road or neutral games than anybody else in the non-conference. We do that on purpose. We do that to prepare ourselves. Both of our losses in league are on the road. They're both in possession games late. So I think we're right where we want to be, and now with another opportunity with 2 road games, on Thursday and Monday to see if we can keep improving our performance when we go away from home.
Jim, back to you.
Yeah, hey Carol. Yeah, I know you prefer talking about the next game rather than the next game, but obviously you have some understanding of what it takes to be an elite guard. And I wanted to ask you your impressions of Hannah Hidalgo. I mean, she might be the best player in the country this year. Just from your perspective, the coaches, give us a coach's view of what makes her so good.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched them this year, so I can't tell you what she's done this year. I mean, obviously, I'm not under a rock. I see that they're doing really well, and her numbers are eye-popping. And I hear people like yourself say she's the national player of the year. And um, I mean, she's a great player. Um, she can impact both ends of the floor, but I'd just be talking out of my butt if I told you what I've seen from her this year. I hadn't watched Notre Dame. I hadn't. I've seen the scores. I've obviously followed them, but I hadn't watched them on film, so I couldn't tell you what she's doing better this year, what she's doing worse. But certainly on paper, um, they have one of the most talented teams in the country. Um, just a ton of talent. I mean, guys, I think they have like 6 first team all conference players. on one team. Is that right? I mean, Hidalgo's first team, Miles' first team, Citron and Westbelt have had to have been first team at some point in their career, maybe last year. King was first team All ACC last year. Carlin was first team All Big East last year. I mean, I've never seen a team with 6 first team All players on one team. Holy moly. That's pretty impressive. It's a lot of experience, right? I just know what they are on paper. What they are on paper is one of the most talented teams probably that we've gone against since I've been here at Duke.
Okay. So if you're not watching Notre Dame on film, I assume you're watching Wake Forest on film. So what can you tell us about them? What can you tell us about this matchup?
They're a lot better than their record says they are. When I've watched them play, they've been right there in so many of their games. Their size, and their strength on the interior, the 4 and 5 position, gives people problems. They're physical. Their guards have their wings, have ability to get going, and can have big nights scoring, shooting the ball. So those are probably the 2 main areas of concern for us. Their high scoring wings, and then their size and their physical presence on the inside. It's not just one player, it's 2 of them. And, we're going to have to be prepared for that. And then they have players off their bench that can get going too. They've got some good depth. They came out last year and just punched us in the mouth. I mean, I think we were down 19-6 last year against Wake, if I recall correctly, in the home game. Hopefully we come out better than that. I mean, I hope we're not down 19-6 over there on Thursday. It's very possible we could be with the talent that they have. So they're very good at executing, at running their stuff, and very good at making reads. If you play something a certain way, they're gonna give you a counter, and they play well together. So yeah, we're gonna have to be good defensively in this one to have a chance to win it.
Thanks.
Jaden, back to you.
Yeah, I want to go back to Ashlin real quick. Obviously we talk so much about her basketball abilities, but when you look at her as a person, obviously y'all have had a relationship for a really long time. What are some characteristics that really stick out to you that have made her a special member of this team?
I think she plays and she is a person that's very happy all of the time. Like, Ashlyn smiles all the time. I mean, we will run sprints in practice and she's smiling. She's the only player smiling. She's smiling while she's running a sprint. Who smiles when they run sprints? I never did that, or I'll get on her about something and she's smiling as I'm getting on her. Who smiles when they get yelled at? I mean, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. She's just happy all the time. And she doesn't allow things to get her down for a long period of time, is I guess what I'm trying to say. I know she's not happy all the time. That's impossible, right? But she doesn't stay down long. She gets frustrated. She has some low moments, but she's just resilient. She just bounces back. She also, as a person, understands the bigger picture. And she's always been someone about the bigger picture. She's a very good student. She wanted the challenge of coming to a top 10 academic institution and trying to build a top 10 basketball program. Like, that was something she wanted to do when she came to school. And so she's very much like a part of the community as a student as well. She's friends. Ashlin's friends with everybody. Like you go everybody knows Ashlin. everybody knows Ashlin, everybody's where she knows, she knows this student and that student and this student and that student. And so she's just like a great ambassador for our program in terms of like, coming to Duke and having a full like textured experience as a young person, but then also excelling and not never having low moments, but never allowing those low moments to keep you down too long.
Any more questions for Coach Lawson? All right, if not, thanks for joining us. Actually, Royal, back to you.
Sorry, Coach. I got one quick question for you. I was looking at Tiana's progression over like the last 7 games, I believe, and I believe she has like a 32-3 assist to turnover ratio, which is like unheard of, like in the 7 game stretch. Just talk about just how she's kind of like transcended that offense, playing with more poise, more confidence, shooting the 3 ball. March Madness is about guard play, but just having her at your disposal. Just speak on just how she's transcended that offense.
Yeah, I mean, the best example I can give you is she tells me what to do now, where I used to tell her what to do, and now she tells me what to do. And that's actually, I love that. I went to Coach T in the middle of the game the other day and I said, she just told me what to do on the play, what we should do on the play. And I said, that's so great. Because when a player can get to that point, okay, when a player can get to that point, when they can get to that level of mastery of what they're doing, that shows a different level of understanding. Not just coaches tell me to do this, I'm going to do it. That's actually not what I want. In the beginning is what I want, because if I tell them to do stuff and they can't do what I need them to do, like that's not good. But eventually you want them to be able to do it themselves. So she's starting to dabble in that. She doesn't tell me what to do all the time, but a little bit. Some of the time she does now. And Kennedy used to tell me what to do all the time. Kennedy Brown used to tell me what to do all the time and correct me all the time. It was great. It was great. It was great. It just makes you smile. If you think about like if you have kids or you teach you've taught or coached young people, when they start to get it like that, it makes you smile. It doesn't matter that they're telling you what to do, like they're starting to get it. So you feel that you do it. So T is at this place where she's just got this great understanding now in her second year with me as point guard of what I want, what has to happen out on the court, communicating that too. She's grown in her communication as well. And then she's a really good player. I mean, T's a really good player. I mean, she came to us as a gifted passer. And so I think you're starting to see kind of all those things. But yeah, she just her basketball brain is kind of where it should be at this point as a junior, second half of the year. And she's just kind of taking ownership of everything and the success and the failure of the play. She takes that personal. The win or the loss, she takes that personal. See, I've said this before about T. Like most players, result to them is how well they played or didn't play. Like that's what they take ownership of. That's most players. The players that really get the big picture take the result of the game. They take ownership as the result of the game. Like T understands it's about winning and losing. It's not all about whether she plays great or not, or scores great or not, or rebounds great or not, or defends great or not, although she wants to do all of those things at a high level. So her emotional maturity is like just high, and that allows her to get to different places in her head in the game because she worries about big picture more so than what maybe she's not doing well in the moment. And that's a great thing. It's really fun when a player gets to that point because like I don't have to motivate her, like I don't have to go in there and be like, hey, play hard. Like T's gonna play hard. I don't have to go up to her and say, hey, compete. She's going to compete. And so now we can talk about strategy and this play and that play and run it to the left side, run it to the right side. Why? Who's where? If we call this, where would it be? We can talk about like that stuff, which is like the good stuff about the point guard position. So that makes it fun.